To Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. After a few weeks off spent exploring Albania and soaking up the sun, I'm very happy to be back and ready to bring you up to speed with what's been happening during the summer break. In this week's show, I'll be finding out more about the upcoming census due to start next week. I'll be addressing concerns over a recent fossil fuel discovery and dipping into the situation in Kosovo and Serbia. I will also be joined by some extra special and rather small guests a little later to talk about the start of the new academic year and why more parents are opting for state education. Let's get started. An official population census is set to start next week in Albania, the 12th since independence from the Ottoman Empire in 1912. Now, this census was supposed to be held in 2021, but was delayed twice, meaning all eyes are on the upcoming process. Prime Minister Edi Rama has said the need to conduct the population headcount is urgent and will be conducted according to European standards and with foreign assistance. The last census did, however, receive widespread criticism for inaccuracies, particularly regarding minorities, resulting in them losing out on valuable resources allocation. Critics say that it significantly undercounted ethnic minority groups. Now, Albania's population is currently estimated somewhere around the 2.7 million mark, the lowest point since the end of communism. And there is a big interest in ascertaining exactly how many people have left the country in the last 10 years. Estimates suggest that at least 700,000 people could have gone, but how accurate this is and how many have returned is not known. Now, it will also be interesting to see how many foreign people are now in Albania compared to over a decade ago. With me today is Blendi Tsjaka from Data Centrum. Now, this census, it's been overdue, it's been delayed twice. Why is it so important now? What is on the line?
It is important because it has political implications. I think it would have a direct impact in policies that we design as a country on strategic level, and it would help a lot understanding better the present, the main issues, the main challenges, and opportunities also for future, let's say, development next years. Mm-hmm.
Now, it's been delayed twice, which people were sort of quite cynical about at the time. Yeah. Both times they were delayed, they were sort of saying, oh, is the government putting it off? Do they want to avoid it? And I've been reading since the recent census has been announced, you know, on Facebook and Twitter, everyone's got something negative or critical to say. But there does seem to be an air of people not really trusting the process, not really trusting what the outcome may be before people have even started, and even not trusting the institutions carrying out the work. Can you give us a bit of background on why this might be? Why are people cynical?
The logic behind being cynical, I think one part of it is normal. The level of trust in any kind of institution in Albania is low, and it is a permanent, let's say, pattern of behaving. In terms of census, it is a sensitive process from political point of view, but not only. First of all, it will somehow address the rapport between territory and people, how the people are distributed among all the territory of Albania, where the density is more larger, and what kind of services are needed there, and which part of territory is underpopulated, and what to do in terms of policies. The second is the matter of internal and external migration. It is a political issue. It has to do with Albanian economy, with the labor force, with retirement schemes and pension schemes. Let me say that after this census, I hope that Albanian political language in Albania will change. I hope so, because it will be based on facts and not in allegations and approximative truths or speculations. It's a very good, let's say, picture that somehow upgrade the level of discussion in Albania based on real, let's say, figures. Other issues where it is sensitive, there is ethnic component of the census and religious component of the census. And both of them are very sensitive in Albania. These different communities, religious communities, after the census of 2011, and ethnic groups complained about the previous process, about the irregularities, about the standards, and these issues are sensitive related to internal balances of Albanian society, and I hope that the standards of realizing the process would be the highest possible.
It's been nearly 12 years since the last census, and as you've used the word speculation sort of several times. There's a lot of that in Albanian politics and society. Are we expecting any nasty shocks or surprises or anything from the outcome of this? Do you foresee anything that's going to particularly disrupt the discourse?
I think it would be interesting to see the aging of Albanian population. Albania is an aging population, is becoming older, and this is a big concern in terms of different kind of policies. The second one, it would be interesting to see from the perspective of voters. We have a big debate on voters. How many voters are living in Albania actually, are residents in Albania, and how many are missing, and it's a behavior, it's a choice, or because having approximate figures, it creates the space for different kind of speculations, and this is what I hope, moving from speculations and allegations to real facts and addressing real problems. It would be very interesting to see the religious, let's say, self-identification of the people, because after 13 years, Albania has moved. It's important also because we have certain policies, even in the framework of European integration, addressing minorities in Albania, addressing standards, and their number, the real number in Albania, is very important to have clear policies addressing real people with real, let's say, and providing real services. And
talking about identity, this brings me on to my last question. Now, I imagine the situation 12 years ago is quite different to how it is now in respect of what I'm about to say. When I came here 6 years ago, there were very few immigrants, expats, whatever, living here. People stared at me in the street. I was like a freak, you know. Now it's very different. There are estimated over 15,000 people with residence permits living here. Albania is very different in terms of immigration into the country when compared to like the UK, where we have long-standing ethnic communities from all around the world, etc. Do you expect to see a shift in sort of the makeup of Albanian society in this new census? Are we going to start seeing, you know, American communities, British communities, Bangladeshi communities? Is this the start of a change in Albanian society?
Yeah, I think it's initial of a real change that is expected. It's normal because people move from one country to another, and Albania it's one destination also, and it's a new experience for us. We never had this kind of experience, having foreign peoples living here, building their life here, not just for a couple of months, but really choosing to be part of this society. And it is completely new experience. And having figures on that will have, I think, a different way of understanding our reality that is changing. And I hope and I strongly believe that we'll see it as reinforcing and enriching our, let's say, society content and sources and human resources and capacities. And we'll see the very, very, very good value.
Heading over to Kosovo now. On Thursday in Brussels, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić and Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti met, flanked by EU stakeholders. The meeting came following a total breakdown in the dialogue process over the last few months due to flaring tensions in northern Kosovo between Albanians and ethnic Serbs. The meeting hoped to get things back on track, but what went down? I'm joined online today by Federica Wolk, the European Parliamentary Assistant and a Public and European Affairs expert. She has a keen interest in Kosovo and Serbia relations and is very active on Twitter talking about all these issues related to the region. Federica, good afternoon and thank you so much for joining me on Inside Albania.
Good afternoon and thank you.
So first of all, can you explain what do we know about the meeting that took place last night between Vučić and Kurti? What was the outcome, if any?
This is a very good question. In fact, there was no outcome. And some might think that it's a bad thing, but in the end, I personally think it's a good thing because apparently it was Prime Minister Kurti who declined the offer of the EU and Serbia, but the offer was basically to start with the Association of Serbian Municipalities in Kosovo and to ignore the other steps or to talk later about the other steps. And personally, I think it would have been a mistake to agree to this because it would have basically imposed conditions on Kosovo without having any kind of assurance that Serbia will do anything else.
And this is a very important point because, Vučić domestically has repeatedly said, he's never going to recognize Kosovo. And when that is the ultimate outcome of the normalization and dialogue process, I think Kurti's right to be a bit hesitant in this. Now, we know the official line from the European Commission, which in my view has been quite harsh towards Kosovo. Parliament seems to be a bit fairer, but you are there in the thick of it, in the corridors of Brussels, and I'm wondering, what is the general feeling around the dialogue process? Do people see a way forward? Do they really think that Kosovo is mainly to blame for these recent tensions? Is there any real hope of things moving forward anytime soon?
To be honest, I think that the knowledge of what is really going on the ground is really not existent. I'm not working directly on these topics, but I have this interest from a personal side, let's say. But I know that many people don't even know what is really going on in Kosovo or in Serbia. And I think that this is the main problem here. If people would be more informed, if people would know concretely what happens, then this would change the ideas also on how to deal with it. Because, for example, when yesterday PM Kurti published the documents of the meeting, he was the only one doing it, by the way. He showed that the proposal that actually was on the table on Kosovo's side was a very good one because it really included normalization and de-escalation in different steps. And yeah, then you can see that there was actually no real reason to say no to Kosovo's proposal.
I read a comment from Borrell as well. He had said, I believe it was Borrell, if it was Lajčák, I do apologize, but it was basically, regarding the elections that they want to be held again in the north. Over the summer, there's been no progress. There's been no effort to de-escalate the tensions around the elections. And I was thinking, yeah, but in June, Kurti said, we're going to start the process to hold elections after the summer. He set up a working group. They started creating this framework for voting to remove the mayors if the population wishes, and then from there, how the elections were held. I was thinking, you can't just call an election out of thin air, in the middle of the summer holidays. And I think that sort of ties into what you said, that people maybe don't really understand what's going on. And also historically as well, maybe they don't really understand where this whole problem came from. Now, my last question to you, are you hopeful? Do you see a way forward? After yesterday's meeting, Josep Borrell said, it's essentially EU membership for both countries that's hanging in the balance here.
Unluckily, I'm not so positive at the moment because we see how the stance is also of the EU. But I truly believe that it is possible to come to normalization only if Serbia agrees to recognize Kosovo, at least in part. I don't know how to say, but at least in some steps and maybe not a full recognition, but at least to recognize that Kosovo.
Like allowing it to join international organizations as a country, etc., like this sort of indirect way, for example.
But if this doesn't happen, personally, I totally agree with the stance of Kosovo that says, no, we cannot agree to something in which we need to give hundreds and Serbia does not give anything, because it does not make any sense. Moreover, there is also the issue of Albanians in Serbia, which is coming out again very abruptly. And I think that this is also a point that should be discussed. Like, why should Serbs in Kosovo have this association if Albanians in Serbia also don't have good conditions and are also not respected?
You're completely right, and that's something I'm going to talk about a bit later in the show. Federica, thank you very much for your insight and your perspective, and I share your sort of disappointment in the outcome of yesterday, but I do have that shred of hope that things will improve. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Next up, a story I've been reporting on for several years now is finally getting the attention it deserves. The American Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, has been sent a letter by 2 US senators over the situation for ethnic Albanians in the Preševo Valley, where researchers and human rights groups have been sounding the alarm about their administrative ethnic cleansing from the civil registry. Over 6,000 ethnic Albanians in the southern Serbian municipalities of Preševo, Bojanovac and Medveđa have been illegally and systemically removed from the Serbian civil registry. This has removed the right of Albanians to vote, access healthcare and education, buy and sell property, and benefit from state services. On Tuesday, the news of the letter was made public by the political advisor to the Prime Minister of Kosovo for the region and former mayor of Preševo, Ardita Sinani. Përshëndetje dhe mirë se erdhe në Inside Albania.
Përshëndetje Alice, kënaqësi të jem në emisionin tuaj.
Si është situata në këtë komunë me shumicë shqiptarë në Serbinë Jugore?
Shqiptarët në Serbi, në këto 3 komuna, Preševo, Bujanovac dhe Medveđa konkretisht, ushtrojnë metodave të ndryshme administrative dhe burokratike, që përbëjnë stastrim etnik, siç u vërtetua edhe nga Komiteti i Helsinkut dhe të gjitha raportet tjera. Jemi vetmi komunitet në Ballkan të cilit nuk po i lejohet përdorimi i flamurit kombëtar, siç e kanë të drejtë komunitetet tjera. Por edhe jemi pothuajse inekzistent në çdo institucion shtetëror, që nuk qeveriset nga komunat e Preševës Bujanovcit. Përpost qeverisjes në këto 2 komuna, jemi të përjashtuar nga çdo institucion. Shqiptarët e këtij rajoni ballafaqohen me shkelje të përditshme të drejtave të tyre themelore, nga e drejta për të shprehur, për ta ruajtur, zhvilluar identitetin, gjuhën, traditët apo kulturën. Dhe pavarësisht kësaj, mungesa dhe vullneti politik i qeverisë serbe ka bërë një pengesë serioze të qëllimshme për integrimin dhe ushqyrjen e të drejtave të shqiptarëve, domethënë në Serbi, në jug të Serbisë, konkretisht në Lugin të Preševës. Sepse sado që shqiptarët në rajon kanë gjeshmëritë dhe veçoritë e tyre lidhur me pozitën e tyre, por nuk ka dyshim se shqiptarët serbi në përgjithësi, por kryesisht, në veçanti ata në Lugin të Preševës, gjenden në një pozitë më të vështirë. Mund të them këtë kontekst dhe të theksoj se gjendja ekonomike është katastrofale, si pasojë mungesës investimeve nga nivelet qendrore, pashtu pengesat burokratike në qarkullimin e lirë qytetarëve dhe madrave, edhe në drejtim Maqedonisë, por posaçërisht në drejtim Kosovës, ta përmendi këtë se kam harruar disa emisione dhe kam kënaqësinë që ta përmendi, që është një ndër pasojat në radhë të parë të militarizimit të rajonit. E tëra kjo, domethënë, ndodh në kuadër nën regjimin autoritar të Vučićit, dëshmon se për 10 vite nuk ka pas vullnet për të avancuar pozitën e minoriteteve në përgjithësi, po të shqiptarëve në veçanti.
Mund të na shpjegoni procesin e pasivizimit të adresave?
Pasivizimi i adresave është një metodë skandaloze që i bën në mënyrë efektive mira shqiptar pa shtetësi, duke pa ju drejtuar shërbimeve bazë. Diku kemi informata që rreth 6.000 shqiptarë ju kanë pasivizuar adresat. Ndoshta ky proces është sidomos më dinamik në Medveq, tashmë në Bujanoc, por po rriten rastet edhe në Preshev, meqense deri para disa viteve në Preshev ka qenë më pak, po kohëve të fundit, vitet e fundit është duke u rritur edhe në Preshev. E për fat keq, që është për keqardhje, Ministria e Punëve të Brendshme jo që nuk është transparente në këtë drejtim, por nuk ndërmerr asnjë hap konkret. Dhe autoritetet e Serbisë jo që nuk kanë realizuar obligimet që kishin marrë me marrëveshjen në vitin 2001 pas luftës në Lugin për krimin e kushteve për kthimin të dëbuarve apo të shpërngulurve shqiptar, sidomos nga zonat e malësisë sonë. Pra, jo vetëm që nuk punuan për kthimin e tyre, por kanë intensifikuar politika shtetërore për vazhdimin e dëbimit dhe largimit shqiptarëve. Edhe këtë ta bëjmë një krahasim ku derisa në Kosovë ekziston një ministria për kthimin e serbëve të shpërngulur, a Lugin të Preshevës nuk është duke u zhvilluar asnjë projekt që do të krijonte kushte për kthimin e shqiptarëve të larguar gjatë luftës, por përkundrazi, jo vetëm shqiptarëve me raste të tilla, por edhe shqiptarëve që gjenden në diasporë dhe që gjenden në Kosovë ose në Maqedoni ose Shqipëri edhe atyre ku i pasivizohet adresa.
I have asked the European Commission about the situation there on at least 4 occasions in the last 3 years, and each time I've merely been told they are aware and monitoring. But now the issue is picking up momentum in Brussels. I'm joined online today by Member of European Parliament and Rapporteur for Kosovo, Viola von Kramon, to delve further into the issue. Viola, you've visited the region in question. What did you observe on the ground, and what is your analysis of the overall situation?
It's being neglected by the current government, maybe also by the former government, I don't know, but there's no particular investment coming in. There's no foreign direct investment coming in, while the rest of Serbia has definitely developed and was very much boosted or boomed by certain foreign direct investors, but also state investors, public investors, and so on. And you won't find this kind of investments in the south of Serbia. One can also see that the situation has been in the past by a broad majority being Albanian, and now obviously it is it's more and more difficult for the Albanian minorities there to keep the people in the region. For different region, of course, it's economically difficult, but it is also with the occurring passivization rather difficult if you do not have a statehood, if you do not have a citizenship, if you do not know where you belong to. People questioning whether they will keep their residence in the region. So we see there are a lot of economic, social, and political disparities. People feel rather disconnected from the center. They feel rather disconnected from financial resources and job labor opportunities. So overall, I would say it can be developed much better if you have a political and a financial strategy.
But what I don't understand, why do you think this issue is not getting so much attention in Brussels? When we look at, for example, the Association of Serb Municipalities in Kosovo and the rights of ethnic Serbs in the north, these are being demanded very strongly. Yet in Serbia, we have this issue. Why is there a discrepancy?
No, there's just one political reason for this. This is very simple, and I've written this in my tweet too. There was, when the break-off of Kosovo took place, it was clear that the non-majority in the north of Kosovo is part of the political deal, but nobody paid attention on the non-majority or the minorities in the south of Serbia. If at that time somebody would have raised their hand and said, come on, if we treat the Serbs in the north of Kosovo as a group with a high political importance, we should do the same towards the Albanian minority in Serbia as well, but nobody did so. So I think now it is much too late to blame the dialogue or the EU facilitated dialogue or the special envoy. It's not our fault here in Europe that had not taken place when the dialogue started or when the, let's say, political framework of the dialogue was designed. But that is the main reason why we can't just include the Albanians in the same way as we had included the Serbian minorities or non-majorities. And now, of course, it is more up to us to put pressure on the Serbian government. They are responsible. They are our interlocutors, but not so much Brussels as such, but not so much the dialogue. This is sometimes hard to understand for people in the region. I know if you suffer, you look for each and every opportunity, but the dialogue is normally not the format you need to address your problems at.
Now, you've also said that this matter, the matter of Preševo Valley, should be higher on the agenda concerning EU membership for Serbia. What response has this had in Brussels when you have suggested it?
I think now it might be much easier since we have the very, I would say, frequent and very detailed information on how the Serbian government discriminated in a very systematical way the Albanian minorities and how less the Serbian minorities and other majority and Serbian other citizens were targeted by this discrimination. And I think that shows a lot, and that needs to be included in the next round of the accession talks, and it needs to be included in the cluster of rule of law. I think this is a classical case of rights of minorities, anti-discrimination, respecting all ethnic groups in the country, and so on and so forth. And this is what at least we, and I guess also some of my colleagues, will remind the Commission and the member states of. So yes, it cannot be, as far as I understood, be included in the dialogue, but it should be definitely put higher up on the agenda of the accession talks.
Now, I would guess that you've probably had conversations with Serbian stakeholders on the issue. I'm pretty sure I can imagine what their response has been. They don't answer me when I've asked questions about it over the years. What do they say? What is their stance? What is their reaction to the research that has come out?
When I have spoken to the Serbian officials, there was mainly this excuse, you know, if you do not have a permanent residence place in Serbia, that is the normal way how we treat the citizens. So then they get a warning, and after this warning, they are going to be pacified. But that is not the whole truth. That is not the whole story. The story is that they very selectively took people with an Albanian background, that they did not give them a warning, that there was not like once they have not met them when they tried, and then the second time after they got this warning. So it was an intentionally, obviously, process for getting rid of Albania, of citizens with an Albanian background, rather than an overall approach applied to each and everyone who has not the first residence in the country. And this needs to be now followed up. I think we should talk with our people in the Commission, but also with the people in the Serbian embassy. Next time I go to Serbia, I will definitely pick this up. But so far, as I said, the study was not done, and was hard just to get these bits and pieces of rumor. This is much easier now.
Many in Kosovo, both within the government, civil society and the media, they have this feeling that the EU is taking a rather one-sided approach to tensions between Kosovo and Serbia. For example, we have the recent punitive measures against Kosovo and a somewhat harsh rhetoric from the Commission and those involved in the dialogue process. But this doesn't seem to be mirrored towards Serbia either. Do you think this assessment is fair? Why are people in the region feeling this way?
If we speak about people who have committed something and have not delivered. I think it needs a criticism, no matter whether this is an Albanian representative or this is somebody from Serbia. But what I hear is always a general feeling that we do not treat Serbia equally with Kosovo. And I think when it comes to the domestic questions, yes, I agree. I think we must be much tougher on non-delivering on reforms. Domestic reforms, Serbia hasn't done a thing. How they treat journalists, opposition, judiciary, media especially. So everything which has to do with the domestic lack of reforms, I absolutely agree. We have to be much more outspoken. But when it comes to the dialogue in particular and each and every single step, to be honest, I mean, I was criticized a lot, but I don't see that the EU has really done significant mistakes here. They have tried hard, but there is no political will on neither side, neither on the Kosovo side nor on the Serbian side. Yes, we have to blame both of them, but the last escalation, especially in the north, was really very predictable. And everyone warned the Prime Minister Kurti not to go ahead with it. And he has done that anyway, yes. And then I think it was absolutely crystal clear there will be some criticism. But is that fair or not fair? Well, I mean, if you do not want to cooperate in any case, no matter what people and friends advise you, yes, then you face criticism. This is that simple. But doesn't have anything to do with the situation, how we should treat Serbia. And in that respect, I think all the criticism is right. But in terms of the dialogue, I would see that the criticism which Kosovo faced was, from my perspective, very legitimate.
Now, away from Kosovo and back to Albania. Albania may be about to announce the findings of an exploratory fossil fuel drilling of such a magnitude that they're going to change Europe's energy landscape. These are the words of Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama, who announced the news earlier this month. Rama said, "We are close to an important discovery of oil and gas at the Shpirag site near Berat," with Energy Minister Belinda Baluku adding the breakdown is 40% natural gas and 60% oil, pending the final results of the exploration. Now, Shell, who are the ones exploring the site, are reluctant to disclose details at the present moment. But not everyone is convinced that fossil fuels are the way to go. I spoke to Pippa Gallup from Bankwatch, an international network of environmental NGOs. She told Euronews that while it's understandable Albania is looking for new sources of income, fossil fuel extraction at this stage in the climate crisis is not acceptable. Albania, she adds, has strong potential for solar and wind development and should be looking to brand itself as 100% renewable rather than moving backwards and focusing on fossil fuels. Now, saving the best until last. Earlier this week, the Albanian children headed back to nursery, kindergarten and school, much to the relief of parents. But what caught my eye was the fact that while the birth rate in Albania has been declining year on year, the number of registrations in Tirana's public nurseries and kindergartens increased by 40%. Now, one of the reasons given for this is an increase in the movement of population from more rural areas into the city. But I think there could be more to it than that. Now, I am one of those who's taken their child out of private education and opted for the state this year due to constant disappointments and price increases of up to 20%. You're very expensive, Dea. I'm joined today by three very special guests, in fact. Brigilda and her daughter Hoyza, and my own daughter who keeps trying to steal the show, Dea. Përshëndetje and welcome to Inside Albania.
Thank you very much, Alice, for the invitation. We are honored. Hoiza is as well. It's a pleasure for us to be here today. And thank you for discussing and treating these kind of discussions that need more focus and need to raise the voice.
It is an important one, and education is one that I think parents agonize over the most, and we don't talk about it so much. Now, Brigilda, you've made the decision to send your daughter to state education institutions. What led you to this decision?
Yeah, in fact, I have been thinking about this choice even way better, saying that the state it was going to be the best choice. This is a decision that has been made far from here because my faith in a public or state institution is much bigger than in private ones. One of the main reasons for that is the staff experience. I really trust in the public institution staff. For example, nursery. Nursery is our biggest concern because my daughter is only 10 months old, so nursery is the institution that she is going to go this month. I have chosen state, as I said, because of the experience and because of the all the good feedback that I've heard from my friends, from all the people around me. There are, of course, a lot of other reasons, such as, for example, even the food. Maybe it's not mentioned so much, but the food is very important to babies and toddlers as well. And I really believe that the food in state nurseries and kindergartens is the same for all state, is fresh and brought every moment.
She agrees. She's like, where's the food? Bring it to me.
She's hungry. It's lunchtime.
No, Dave, you stay there a second because I want to ask you a question. What's your favourite food? What's your favourite food? What are you looking forward to eating in your new kindergarten? You've gone shy now. Macarona? No? Okay, we'll come back to you on that one. Actually, that's very reassuring for me to hear that you have so much faith in the teaching staff and the food as well that's going to be on offer for children. Have you had people around you saying, oh, you know, no, private school is better, the state school has other issues? You know, have you had people trying to change your mind?
Of course, there will always be two kind of people for each matter, two kind of version. Of course, I have a lot of friends of mine that have chosen the private institutions as well. Of course, private institutions offer some things that the state ones do not offer, such as, for example, activities, outdoor activities, or even indoor activities that are now more in focus the last few years, such as, for example, pottery or swimming in the pools. There are a lot of private institutions that offer such. But of course, this comes with very large fee, a fee that Albanian people with our wages, it's very difficult to support.
I mean, I took the decision, the fees at her previous school went up by 20%, and it became unaffordable for me, and also I didn't see the value for money there either. And I thought, you know, I could be spending this large chunk of money on activities like the one you mentioned, ballet, art, sports, swimming lessons, all these things, you know, and doing it on our own time, and then having education during school hours as well. Are there any other concerns you have about the state school?
Actually, one of my biggest concerns is about Saturday. I am one of those people that are not so little in number that work on Saturdays as well. And it's very difficult for me to find a place or somebody to take care of my child during Saturdays, because, as you know, state institutions do not open during Saturdays and Sundays, whilst a lot of private ones offer accommodation also on Saturdays. Despite this, I have made an agreement with myself, and I've said to myself, it's much better to sacrifice, if we can say it like this, to sacrifice the Saturday. She can stay with her dad because he works from Monday to Friday, and we will arrange it. We will see it as far as she is very good with those nice ladies at the state nursery. We hope so. We haven't tried
And
yet.
when does she start?
I'm not sure, but maybe this Monday. Maybe this Monday we will go and
very
start. Yeah,
exciting.
we are very excited. Hoiza is as well.
Now, Dea hasn't started yet because her kindergarten is still under construction at the moment, and we're hoping to get you there very soon. Are you excited about starting kindergarten? You're thinking. What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking of going in kindergarten.
Yeah? What are you most excited about, Dea?
I'm excited to go in kindergarten.
And to make some new friends? What's your favourite thing to do in kindergarten? What's your favourite thing?
Playing outside.
Playing outside?
Yeah.
And are you excited to meet your teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you have anything else you want to say? No? Okay, that was very insightful.
I know the strawberry.
Now, as I mentioned, another reason I chose to send Dea to a state kindergarten was because the two nearest to my home have been renovated under the EU for Schools project, managed by the EU and the UNDP. Now, this week, EU Ambassador Luigi Soreca spoke of the amazing results of the project, spurred by the 2019 earthquake, which caused widespread damage to schools and kindergarten. This year, more than 11,000 pupils will start in brand new facilities, with 44 completed and 16, including Dea's, under construction. Now, hers is behind schedule, and Kismet, it will be open soon. But to the rest of Albanian children who started their school year, I wish you all the luck in the world. Dea, would you like to say something?
To have water.
Just you'd like some water. Very wise words. And Brigilda, would you like to say anything else?
I also wish all the babies, toddlers, and kids to have the best of luck, and of course, for everyone from Hoiza. Thank you very much, Alice, for the invitation.
You're more than welcome. Now, that's all for this week. The chaos here is coming to an end. Remember to watch Inside Albania every Saturday at 5 o'clock on Euronews Albania, and also on demand on our YouTube channel and across all major podcasting platforms. Mira Pafshim.